Hello and welcome to Microsoft Access course Beginners to Advanced. This is part 6, writing SQL queries. In the previous part, we have discussed how to design query using wizard and design view, and taking it a step further, we will now discuss how to write SQL queries. So in this part, we will discuss what is SQL and the various SQL commands which are used in MS Access, which are grouped into 4 categories: DDL, DML, DCL and TCL. We'll talk about each of these groups in this part. SQL, which is pronounced as SQL or Structured Query Language, it's a standard programming language used in the management of data stored in a relational database management system like Oracle, MS Access, Ingress, etc. We already know how to create a query, how to design a query in the design view. We'll see those queries, how we can write them in the SQL using the SQL commands. Now, since Access has a graphical user interface, so here we do not use those SQL commands frequently because we can easily design those queries in the design view. But if you do not have a graphical interface, or there is a requirement where it is difficult to write the query, because SQL commands are very easy once you get your once you have a good hand-on on those queries, you can easily write these commands. So we'll see how we can write those queries in the SQL view over here. This is a table, and we have a query. Like if you have a query something like this, if you look down over here, you can see other than the data sheet view and your design view, you have something known as your SQL. So if I click over here, you can see this is a select as a SQL command, and you can see the same query which we have created in the design view. Its equivalent SQL command is written over. If you know these SQL commands, you can write these queries yourself. If you read this, you can see that we are trying to select the customer ID, customer name and city from a table, a client table. These commands are grouped into 4 different categories: your data definition language commands, data manipulation language commands, DCL or data control language commands, and transaction control language. We will take each one of them and understand how these commands work with the help of an example. So for the time being, whatever query we have created in the design view, we can open them in the SQL view also. When we were discussing the creation of tables and queries, we have already, in the previous parts, we have already discussed what is a table: rows, columns, fields, records, tuples, attributes. These things we have done. When we were designing the table, we did talk about the primary key and foreign key, your various options which were present in the property pane, like null, not null, whether we can set up an index, if we want to supply any kind of a default value. Those things are present here in SQL as well when we are writing the SQL commands. So we have, when we are creating a table or we are trying to write these commands over here, these constraints are also used. Constraints, they are the rules enforced on the data to limit the type of data that can be inserted into your table. Now, if I'm about to let me close this and let's write a new query for ourselves. So the first one which we have is your data definition language commands. We will talk about the data definition language commands. The first command which we will use is the create command to create a table. Now the create command creates a new database in a table. Here we are talking about how to create a table in this database which is open in front of us. Some command is simple: create table and the name of the table which you want to have for this table which we are creating over here. opening bracket, you will place a closing bracket also and a semicolon at the end. The fields which you want to have in your table, you have to supply the name of that field. Say I say employee ID. Now when we were creating table in Access in the design view or in the data sheet view, there we were supplying together with the name of the field, we were telling what type of data that field will hold. We were giving the data type. Here also, when we are using the create command, we have to tell Access what data type will be what type of data will be stored in this particular field. So we have SQL data types. It specifies the type of data that is stored in a field. Now there are some types of some data types, like your numeric data type, integer, float, real. Then you have the date and time data type, date, time and date time. For storing strings or character, you have char and varchar. For binary data type, you have the binary for zeros or ones and true or false. Then when we are working with the table, we have different operators which are used with SQL commands. We will discuss them as well. So here my first field is employee ID and the data type is integer. That is, it's a numeric type of field. Integer. Then I told you that there are constraints also that will specify what we are trying to enforce, some kind of a rule over here. I say it should be not null, a value should be there, and this should be the primary key. When we were designing the tables, we had that option of defining a primary key. Here we have to write and specify which field will be the primary key. So my employee ID will be the primary key, so I have written. Second field I have to write, so put a comma and the second field I want, it should be name and it is of string type. So either I can have character or I can have varchar. So here we have two fields in our table, and we are going to run our query with these two fields. Let's run the query. You can see over here in the navigation pane, a table has been created with the name employee, and if I click on employee, you can see employee ID and F name. So simple table creation. Anytime I want to modify this table or I want to add in new fields over here, that can be done using the second data definition language command, alter table command. Let's discuss alter table command also. Our table has been created. Second command which we want to use is alter command, which modifies the structure of the database or the table, either to add or modify the existing structure of a table. We have the employee table in place and we want to add one more field. So the command is alter table. Name of the table, the name of my table is employee, and what I want to do is I want to add one more field. Let's say L name, which is of varchar type, say 30 over here, and I'm done with this. Just I want to add in a new field to my table. Run it. Let's open employee. You can see L name over here, one more field is being added to my table. Anytime you want to modify the structure of a table, for example, again we will use the alter command, alter table employee. This time I want to alter a column, so I will write alter column. Now in other or I want to change it into say varchar say 50, so that will modify the field name. Let's see our employee table. You can see here, if I open the design view for you, you can see in here you can see the field size as 50. Here you can see the field size as 20. So we have changed the field size. Earlier it was 20. Now we have changed for L name as 4. The third DDL command, your data definition language command, which we are going to use, is the drop table command. Now it is used for removing an existing table from the database together with all the data which is there in the table. So if we have the employee table over here and we want to remove it, so I can write drop table and the name of the table and run the command. You can see it's been removed from the navigation pane. So in our data definition language, we have used 3 commands: the create table, alter table, and the drop table commands. The second set of commands which we will discuss are the data manipulation language commands. Now these commands allow the users to pick up or retrieve some data, insert, delete, and modify the information which is present in a database. The most commonly used DML command is the select command, which is used to fetch data from the table. First, let's insert some data in a table. So we have a table over here. You can see the staff table, which has the staff number, name, city, and the total sales. Let me show you the entire table over here. We have n number of records over here, and we want to insert some data to this table. So the command to insert the data is insert into. Now your insert into, these are the keywords, the command itself, and the name of the table, in which table I want to insert, then your column names. Now there are 2 methods: either you can skip the column names and directly write in the values. In that case it should be in the same order, and the first method is you give the name of the fields as well. I will suggest to give the name of the fields also. So insert into staff, first field is staff number, second is F name, third is your city, and then your total sales. Just let me check. Total sale is there. It's not sale, or it's sales. Total sales. These are the fields which we have. You can always check the fields. Then comes your values. What values you want to put into these fields? You have to give the values. Now keep in mind, integer values will not be enclosed within quotes, whereas string type of values you will write within quotes. We have the name over here, comma city, comma your sales value, and then you will put a semicolon and you will run. So we are trying to insert some value in this particular table. These are the field names and the values, actual values, numeric without quotes, and string type of values within quotes. Let's run this. It will ask you, yes, you want to insert the record. Yes, I want to insert the record. If I go back to my staff table, you can see over here the value of this one, 5100 we have entered over here. You can see you can enter n number of records in your fields. Anytime you want to modify the values or the records which are present in your table, that can be done using the update command. Now update command, it updates the existing data with the new data within the table. Say for example, we have the data of Richa over here, which is 910 over here, if you can see, and I want to change this value to, from Delhi I want to change it to Shimla. So let's go back to our query over here and let's update. So the command is update the name of your table. Which value we want to change? We want to change the city to, say, Shimla. It was Delhi there for, if you look over here, it is Delhi for 910 Richa, and we want to change it to Shimla. So cities should be changed to Shimla, but for which record? That we have to specify, where the staff number is 910. So the query, the command is simple. We want to update city to Shimla, for which record where the staff number is 910, and just run the query and see the result. Yes, we want to update it. Go back. Here you can see the record of Richa. It's been changed to, from Delhi to Shimla. To delete a record from the table, we make use of the delete command. It deletes the records or rows from the table. Say anytime I want to delete this record of Shweta 978, you can always put in, or you can look for the any other values from your table. You can have city also. I'm not using city because we have duplicate data over here. I'm using staff number, which is unique, and the primary key. I want to remove the record of this particular person 978 Shweta over here. I want to delete the record of Shweta over here 978 staff number, which is there. So let us write a command for that. Say the command is delete. From where you want to delete? I want to delete from this table staff, where you have to specify a condition, which record you are looking for and what is the criteria. Where I am saying where the staff number is 978, and run the query. It will again ask you, yes, I want to delete it. Go back. You can see the record is being deleted from the table. The next command, the data manipulation language command, which we will discuss, is the select command, which retrieves data from a table or multiple table. We are making use of the same staff table. So we have our staff table over here, where we have staff numbers, name, city, and total sales. The select command, very simple syntax is there. If I say select from the table, select, if I want to retrieve all the fields and all the data from my table, I can write select asterisk from staff. It will simply, now whatever commands you are running, I have already told you ki the query which is there and the data which is returned, it is in the form of a query table and it's shown in the form of a table over here. So if I write select asterisk from staff, you can see the entire thing from my table is being returned to me, because we have not specified any condition. So all the fields from my and all the records from my table is being returned. If I say ki select only, let's make modification over here, select staff number comma f name from staff. I want to retrieve only two fields from my staff table, so staff number and name. Let's run it. You can see the only staff number and name has been retrieved from my table, and it's been returned in the form of a query table over here. Now you can use conditions, you can specify criteria using the where clause. Now where clause specifies a criteria about the rows to be retrieved, which row you want to retrieve based upon a condition. Say if I want to retrieve this particular record 110, all the fields of this particular record 110. Let's modify a query over here. I want to retrieve everything from my staff table where we are specifying a condition over here where staff number equals to 110. Now since this field is numeric type, I'm not putting any quotes over here. Let's run it. You can see the record of Namish, all staff number, F name, city, total sales is being returned. We have specified a condition over here. Let's say let's see this one table over here. Let's pick up another record. Say I want to pick up the record of Pihu over here. Let's make changes. Select from here where F name equals to, now this time we are trying to pick up a string type of value, so we are including it within quotes over here, and run it. You can see the record of Pihu over here. Again, let's modify our query and see some other variations. Say I want to select all those records where city is equal to, say, Noida. All the records where city is equal to Noida, you can specify that also. Now together, when you're using your where clause over here, we are making use of the condition where I am using where city equal. Let me show you first. Where some criteria is, we are specifying an equality criteria. Now together with equal to signs, you can have and also. You can specify two conditions using and, both those conditions should be satisfied. You can have or also, either the first condition or the second set condition is specified. Those records will be retrieved. You can use the wildcard characters also here. Let me show you those wildcard characters also. Say we were getting the result. Let me show you the result first. We specified that city should be Noida. Now if I want the total and only those records where the total sales is less than 5,000, so we can have an and condition there also. Let's specify an and condition where city is equal to Noida and total sales is less than 5,000. Let's run it. Earlier we were getting 4 records, now we are getting only 3 records, and that too where total sales is less than 5,000. So let's go back to our query also. Here we are picking up all the fields from my staff table, and a condition is being specified using the where clause where city is equal to Noida, and both these conditions should be satisfied and the total sales is less than 5,000. You can have or condition here. If I put or, so it will be same as specifying city is equal to Noida. You can have something like or over here. Let's run it. See, city is Noida or total sales is less than 5,000. So all these records here, this condition is satisfied. Noida is there. So this one is not true, but this one is true because we have or condition. All the other data, if you look at the total sales, those data are less than 5,000. Total sales is less than 5,000. So you can have or, you can have and. Let's move on to pattern matching, where we can use the wildcard characters. Now in my table, if you look at the table over here, we have some cities with the same name, like we have Mumbai here, we have Mandu over here. So let's specify instead of hard coding and writing city is equal to Mandu, city is equal to Mumbai, let's make use of the wildcard characters, where city, like we have already discussed the pattern matching using the wildcard characters in the previous video, so you can watch those videos if you have any doubt over here. Where city, like M asterisk, all the cities beginning with character M and rest of the characters are any characters, we want to pick up those data. Let's run it. You can see Mandu, Mumbai, whatever data is there from, it's been picked up from the table. Let's change it. Any over here, all those let's pick up the records of all those staff whose names start with S. So we can do that. Let's move on to a query. If you want, you can save these queries also. You can right click and from here you can save, or you if you try and close it, then also it will prompt you to save. Let's say where S, so F name like S asterisk and a semicolon over here. So all those staff whose name begin with S, they have been picked up for our use. We have picked up those records from there. We have one more clause which can be used with the select command over here, that is the order by clause. It specifies an order in which the rows are to be retrieved. You can either have them in the ascending order or the descending order. Here, like we used to have it earlier in the sorting form. So when you are running a query and there you are getting a data, you can sort them in the ascending or the descending order. Say this is my data over here. If I want to sort it on the basis of city or on the basis of name, that can be done by using the order clause over here. So my query is the same, where we are trying to retrieve the data based on F name and we want to order it. Order by, say, city. Let's run it. You can see Bombay, Dehradun, Delhi, Mandu, Mumbai, Noida, Pune. It's been sorted on this form. You have the ascending order, you can have it in the descending order. You just have to write descending over here and run the query. You can see the data being arranged in descending order. So in your select query, when you are using the select command, you can retrieve all the fields. You can retrieve specific fields from your table. You can use the where clause to specify a criteria. Order clause can be used to specify the order in which your data is appearing, either in the ascending order or the descending order. It can be any field as per your choice. Now we can also group the data on the basis of certain criteria. For that we have group by clause, which is used to arrange the identical data into groups. Now it is often used with the aggregate function, and it follows the where clause. And if I am writing a query and I am using a where clause, I can group that data on the basis of the records which we are retrieving. Now let's see the group by clause also. Now say we want to select the count of all the staff which are present in the city. Now You can use the built-in functions when you are writing your queries. That can be used. You can see over here I'm trying to use the count function to count the number of staff in a particular city. We have the function and we have provided the field for that particular count function, the staff number, from where we are trying to use this data from my staff table, and we are going to group by the city on which we are trying to find the data. So I said key it is often used with the count function. You can see we have all the cities and we have the count of all the staff which is present in each of these city. So you have used the group by clause also, where we are trying to group the data. The next set of commands which we have is the data control language commands, which helps in maintaining the rights, permissions and security of the data. In this we have the grant command, revoke command, which provides the rights and privileges to the users to access the database. For example, if we do not want all the users to have all the rights, like to add in the data or to delete the data from our tables, then we can always make use of the grant and revoke commands to give permissions or to give rights about what can be done by that user on a particular table. So those types of command comes under your data control language commands. We will not go into the details of grant and revoke commands over here in this particular video. Then we have the transaction control language commands, which control and manage the changes that affects the data which is present on your database. Now we have like commit, rollback and creating a save point. We can use those commands to, like the commit command, to permanently save the work in our database, to roll back, to restore to a previous transaction, or to create a checkpoint or a save point within the transaction. Those can be done using the transaction control language commands. In this video we have discussed the frequently used commands in MS Access, like the select command to query or to retrieve the data from a table, to insert some data into our table. Since Access has a GUI and we have a very good design feature over here where we can easily create the queries, not all the commands, SQL commands are used over here, but definitely if somebody is well versed in using these SQL commands, they can go ahead and use them. It is much easier than creating the query in the design view. Hope you found the information which is shared in this video useful. Stay tuned for upcoming videos on Access forms and reports. Till then, take care and thank you for watching this video.